debt crisis affecting Germany. In the interview, Hans-Peter Keitel, president of the Federation of German Industry.
Mr. Keitel, the news these days is rarely good. One day Greece is allegedly bankrupt, the next it's the banks. And then we're told the Eurozone is about to break up. How do you deal with this?
I've been a businessman all my life. As an entrepreneur, you're used to hearing bad news, but that's punctuated with items of good news, too. You're used to dealing with news on a daily basis, which may mean trouble. But there's a major difference. The business community is equipped to react properly. We can only hope the politicians will do so, too.
As president of the Federation of German Industry, can you keep calm at the moment?
Yes, otherwise that would be a problem. In these kinds of difficult situations, where the general population is justifiably nervous, it would be pretty bad if those of us with more access to information weren't able to keep calm.
What effect is speculation about a possible breakup of the Eurozone having on the real economy?
First of all, this is about the Euro project, but behind that is the huge sovereign debt crisis, which has to be taken seriously. Anyone following recent events knows that even President Obama has addressed this issue. It's not just an isolated European problem. In Germany, the real economy is thankfully on a sound footing, so we shouldn't act as if we were in a crisis. But the real economy can't shield itself from the problems of the financial sector forever.
Are you feeling any effects in the real economy right now?
In terms of sentiments, yes. Lots of people are nervous, but that's not really reflected in the objective figures. I believe as long as there aren't any truly catastrophic developments in the financial sector, and if we're able to stabilize the markets, the prospects are very good.
What would be a catastrophic development in the financial sector in your view?
We need to stabilize the European financial system. That's only possible with a long-term plan. The public and the politicians need to know where we're heading in the next 10 to 15 years. What kind of Europe will we have? How much national autonomy do we have to give up? These are crucial questions, and if we don't address them, solve them, and incorporate emergency measures for the long term, we may run into some serious financial problems.
The Federation of German Industry has presented a plan for Europe. What are the main points?
It's all about the long-term prospects. You can't keep making normal or emergency investments. That goes for businesses too, by the way, without having a long-term plan. And we can only see one way of finding a lasting solution for Europe. Given our political structures, there are always elections somewhere in Europe with different parties with completely different ideas taking over. So the only way to ensure stability is for politicians to set up a fund, as at the IMF, then step back and supervise the structures without trying to dictate how the markets should react on a daily basis.
How are your ideas received by policymakers? Are they taking them on board?
There are some very positive signs, not just from politicians. The German central bank has been making noises in that direction too. Many people now realize that convergence on the euro won't just happen. We have to take a deliberate step. Politicians have to deal with other tasks. They can't rescue the euro every day. But we can provide the framework, independently of politicians.
You invited Greek Prime Minister George Papandreou to address your Day of German Industry conference. Why?
I think it's very important to hear it from the horse's mouth, to find out how he sees what's happening in Greece and how he assesses his efforts to stabilize the country. How can we create trust if we only hear things third hand? That's one thing. Secondly, we told Mr. Papandreou very clearly from our real economy viewpoint what has to happen in Greece to increase investor confidence. We have a long history of investments in Greece, and some old problems have to be solved too.
Investitionsgeschichte in Griechenland. Es ist ja nicht so, dass wir morgen dort erst anfangen. Es gibt auch noch alte Probleme, die zu lösen sind.
Were you convinced by what Mr. Papandreou had to say? Is Greece tackling the necessary reforms?
He gave a very convincing speech. There are two aspects to being convincing. First, you need the facts, and then someone who can sell them in a credible way. He presented the facts very plausibly. Now we'll be watching day by day to see if those pledges are being met.
German industry says it would like to help Greece and invest in Greece. What conditions need to be met?
The Federation of German Industry has been holding talks with Greece for a year. What has to happen to ensure that German investments help stabilize the real economy? First, Greece's debt sustainability has to be increased. That involves solving some old problems. Some businesses have been waiting for years to be paid. Another condition is transparency in business transactions in Greece. We can't afford to be ignorant about the environment we're investing in. And third, successful Greek entrepreneurs need to take the lead in their country, not outside it. We need patriots on our side when we go in there as foreign investors.
There's a lot of speculation about a partial default for Greece. Do you think that makes sense?
That's not our focus at the moment. That's for the financial people. Our area of expertise lies in the real economy. Nearly everything's been said about the other issue. We're concentrating on what the German central bank says. For us, fiscal discipline is the way forward.
Is the euro also an essential ingredient for developments in the German economy?
Of course, we're part of the system. We may have wished that some things had been different, but we're not about to say we'll start all over again with the euro. We're in the eurozone. The euro has been a very successful project for us so far. We can't just leave it now, saying we'll be back one day. We're not going back to the Deutschmark. That's an illusion.
Is the euro now widely unpopular?
Yes, in many places, because right now people are seeing the effects and the uncertainty. But they've forgotten what the euro has given them. Let's just take the example of Switzerland. Ask mid-sized businesses in Switzerland how they're doing with their overvalued franc. They're not jumping for joy. They know the problem.
So you're saying Germany is doing much better with the euro than without it?
Undoubtedly, no one would seriously claim any different.
At the moment, you get the impression that policymakers are actually limping behind developments. Is that right?
That's not the politicians' fault. That's the fault of the structures in Europe where every project has to be decided democratically by 17 or 27 democratically elected governments acting together. Those kinds of structures are not made to work with the kind of speed the markets demand. That's why we're calling for other instruments. One of them is the independent fund I mentioned earlier.
Economically speaking, Germany is in a very good position in Europe. How long can we maintain that position?
Hopefully for a very long time. At least we don't see any problem this year. We're forecasting growth for next year. As long as the financial markets don't intervene, that's the only major problem I can see.
So the fears of a crisis are exaggerated in your opinion?
There's no crisis in the real economy. There is deep-seated uncertainty. It's psychology. We have to work to overcome it.
So your overall attitude is positive?
Yes.
Thank you, Hans-Peter Keitel, for joining us.
You're welcome.